guys, Specstar here today with my first team builder in a while. I'm doing it for my MLBA Week 4 battle, and I've been meaning to do another team builder because I haven't done one in a while, and I thought now would be the right time to do one because I kind of had a more elaborate build here. So, let's just dive right into this. He is a team. I'm facing Dom here. I should remember to have his link in the description. And he has a team here consisting of a Z Genesect, Z Kyurem Black, Hawlucha and Fini, Ditto, Donphan, Electabuzz, Mega Kangaskhan, Gothorita, Swirlix, and Boldore. Now the first thing that's going to jump out at you is that, shit, that's a pretty threatening offensive core he has. The Genesect, the Kyurem Black, the Terrain Lucha, and the Mega Kangaskhan. So, with a team as offensive leaning as mine, I did have to get pretty careful and pretty creative to just find a way to kind of deal with some of his threats. And this is kind of what I came up with, so let's get right into it. And now the first Pokemon I have here is my Mega Venusaur, and I'm running it with Knockoff, Synthesis, Nature Power, and Giga Drain. Now the reason I have Knockoff here is because of his Gothorita. I want to knock that thing's item off, particularly if it's something like a choice specs. I do not want to let it get off that type of 70% damage, which it could potentially do with a choice lock psychic. And I want to knock it off, reduce that damage output, keep my health somewhere manageable, and then finish it the ensuing turn. That's kind of my thought process there. Synthesis, of course, just to keep it healthy. Nature Power is so I can hit the Kyurem Black, which, aside from Hawlucha, which he'd probably want to save until more of the late game, and Gothorita is really his only kind of way to deal with Venusaur, and it's his most likely switch into Venusaur. So normally Kyurem Black walls Venusaur pretty easily, but he is Tapu Fini, and with Tapu Fini's Misty Terrain, I'm able to turn Nature Power into Moonblast, which does actually significant damage to Kyurem Black, particularly if I have Rocks up, which will significantly limit his free switch-ins. And the terrain generally is going to be up because Venusaur is pretty much my bring-in on Tapu Fini. And I have Giga Drain on this so that Tapu Fini can go for Nature's Madness and taunt and keep me low. I do not want to let him do that. Giga Drain's a way for me to heal my health up on that thing, even if it clicks taunt. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. I'm going to go to my investment here, and what I have here is I'm largely physically defensive with enough speed to outspeed a max speed Gothorita, and that's just to make sure that that thing cannot come in, trap me, and beat me 1v1. Venusaur's a big problem for him, and I definitely am not in the market to be giving him a free trap and way to take Venusaur out of the game. If he's going to beat Venusaur with Gothorita, I'm not going to make it easy on him. I'm going to take every measure I can to get in the way of that. And that's what you see there. It's going to be my Venusaur set. Next, I have my Darkrai, which is choice specs. And Darkrai here is... let me just fix that because it has one less speed than it's supposed to have, which is why you always do double checks before you bring a team into a battle. And here is my Darkrai set here. I'm choice specs. I'm a cleaner here. That's what the intention of this is. It outspeeds everything except for Hawlucha. I decided it was not worth it to creep Hawlucha because I had to be timid to do so. And his Hawlucha, if it's out, is more than likely to have the aid of its terrain and unburden ability, so it probably will not ever be out at just its normal speed unboosted, which is why I decided it's not worth it. Modest just lets me hit his team really hard. Tapu Fini is the only really great switch into Dark Pulse he has. And I've got here Dark Pulse, of course, just the most spammable move. Gotta love Dark Spam. Thunderbolt allows me to hit Tapu Fini and Hawlucha, which resists the Dark Pulse. Focus Blast allows me to hit Kyurem Black and Mega Kangaskhan for knockout blow, assuming no Colbur on the no Chople on the Kyurem. And Nasty Plot is just because there wasn't really a last move I really needed, and he has the Ditto. So if he brings in the Ditto on this, he's gonna see the Nasty Plot and assume I am not Choice Locked, which can be a pretty powerful mislead under the right circumstances. And that is my Darkrai set. Next up here, I have got my Metagross, and I am Rocky Helmet with Stealth Rock, Zen Headbutt, Meteor Mash, and Bullet Punch. One of the main functions of this thing is just to get Rocks Up. Rocks Up very valuable against his team. If I actually get Rocks Up, then depending on his Hawlucha spread, I am definitely more likely than not to be able to take him out with a Draining Kiss later, but I'll talk about Comfey's set when I get to it. This Pokemon prevents Kyurem Black from being physical and having a real impact. It is more likely to be special anyway, but you never want to be under-prepped for those big bandit outrages. You always want to have some sort of way to deal with them. It helps me deal with Hawlucha a little bit in case of emergency, and also it just lets me get the damage on Kangaskhan I want. I want to have Kangaskhan in range of Dark Pulse so I can bring Darkrai in and put him in a pick-your-sack situation. So having the Rocky Helmet so that if he clicks something like Fake Out or Return, he has to take the 2 hits back from Rocky Helmet. That's very important to me. And Zen Headbutt here, just it's pretty much a good move to hit his team. Mostly it's about Hawlucha, although Meteor Mash is probably the most spammable move. Bullet Punches, of course, this thing's meant to get Chip Off. I get Rocks, I'm able to get Rocky Helmet damage, and Bullet Punch. It kind of just built to put Chip on his team to put me in position where I can kind of clean with one of my win cons later. And yeah, that's going to be my Metagross set. I have HP and Adamant. There just wasn't a huge reason to invest overwhelmingly in one defense over the other. It's nice to have that damage output just to make sure I can get things in range, and that's why the set. My next mod here is going to be the Rotom Heat, and I am specially defensive. I have speed on this thing to outspeed a max speed Donphan, because those things have been known to run max speed and then something like Head Smash to hit these type of Pokemon, and I just want to make sure that I am prepared to be able to hit it if it is max speed. And it only required minimal investment. And I may even adjust this a little bit to outspeed minimum speed Fini. It's something that I'm kind of weighing before the battle, wondering if it's worth taking a little bit out of its bulk for that. This is largely my Genesect answer. Genesect really can't do too much to hit this thing. I'm especially defensive to just basically take a lot of his more powerful special attacks because I'm going to resist almost all of its physical hits. Any of the ones that are viable anyway, Blaze Kick, U-Turn, Iron Head, all that fun stuff. I've got Protect here just to give me some sort of longevity, which is very good when I have to deal with Genesect with this thing, and that Pokemon is always a monster, no matter what the matchup is. I've got, of course, just the Volt Switch Overheat. Overheat kind of hits his team well, Volt Switch lets me get the hell out of there. And I have Defog in case he brings Swirlix and tries to set up Sticky Web. Generally, he has no spinner. Well, his Donphan is a spinner. But He probably in this game won't be able to reliably spin, just because Donphan does not eat many hits from this team. It can kind of eat hits from Piloswine and Metagross, but they both set up rocks, so it should be a challenge for him to reliably spin. But Defog helps me deal with Swirlix. If it does decide to set up webs could be potentially annoying for Darkrai, and I don't really want that. I didn't particularly need another move, so it's just kind of like a little bit of a safety net for me here. And that's a lot of the process that went into bringing this Rotom here, which I still need to think of a nickname for. Kind of stumped on that. Next up here I have the Choice Specs Comfey, and that is not the most popular Comfey set in the world, but I think it has a good matchup here. Really, if you look at his team, with Rocks up, he can only really beat Draining Kiss comfortably with his Genesect, and maybe especially defensive variant of Tapu Fini, but if he brings in Genesect, he has to risk taking the Hidden Power Fire, and Fini doesn't really do too much damage to Comfey, so it's not really countering it at all, unless it's Smart Strike, which would be a really cool bring, but a very unlikely bring. And I also have U-Turn and Defog there, which are kind of just fillers. Really, I didn't need anything but Draining Kiss and Hidden Power Fire. I also considered running Fling and Synthesis, but I didn't really see the scenario where I'd want to lose my specs in this game. It just has a lot of promise. I'm looking towards a scenario where I can kind of win at the end of the game by clicking Draining Kiss. Just need to use the rest of my team to kind of reliably chip him down and set that up. I also having specs on this helps me deal with Hawlucha, because with the rocks up, Hawlucha is more than likely to drop to a Draining Kiss, which means that a Pokemon that can be a major threat to me has a lot less of a danger, and that gives me some optimism about Comfey's chances in this game. And the next Pokemon I've got here is the Piloswine. And Piloswine is Rocks, Earthquake, Superpower, and Ice Shard. And this is just a reliable rock setter. Ice Shard can help me put Hawlucha in range of Draining Kiss more reliably. I just need a little bit of chip on it, and of course it also just not just the Hawlucha, but it helps me put chip on multiple things. Rock's just very nice in this game. Earthquake is his best move. It's the best move to hit a lot of his team. I'm adamant here because I wanted to be able to break a Kyurem Black substitute if it was very bulky. That's very important to me. Superpower also lets me hit Kyurem if it's not substitute. Also helps me hit Kangaskhan. This is just a Mon to help me reliably get up rocks, potentially take some sort of physical hits, and get his team chipped down in range of Comfey and Darkrai. And that is going to be my team there. I've got, in recap, I've got a physically defensive Venusaur with speed for Gothorita. I've got a Choice Specs Darkrai. I've got a Rocky Helmet Adamant Metagross. I've got a specially defensive Protect Rotom Heat. I've got a Choice Specs Comfey, and I have a Adamant Eviolite Piloswine. So I hope you guys enjoyed my first team builder in a while. I'm not sure how consistently I will be doing these in the future. Sometimes the mood strikes me and sometimes it really doesn't. I just thought this was a more interesting build and I wanted to do something on it. And I want to thank you guys for watching. If you see this, the battle should be up not long after. Have yourselves a good night.